After the water subsides, what is left on the roads is similar to what's behind me. I'm on a back road in eastern Henderson County, and what we've been seeing all day on Saturday, now that Helene has come and gone, are trees not only down but blocking parts of the road. On this one specifically, this one is giving just enough room on one side for traffic to get through, but it's coming from both directions, both north and south, east and west, on streets all over Henderson County and beyond in western North Carolina. Drivers, you got to take it slow around bends because you never know if someone's coming around the other side in the same lane. Friday, the concern for residents in Henderson County was the water levels.
The water came up all the way above my wife's SUV, all the way above it.
Daniel Martindale saw this outside his porch in one Hendersonville community. People being rescued by their neighbors and others. The water has subsided, and now it's about the cleanup. Daniel, his wife, and many others left cleaning out their belongings of what's left. As of Saturday morning, nearly 70,000 people were without power, according to Duke Energy. On the roads, still thousands of trees fallen across the area and power lines as well. Some power lines being held up by the fallen trees.
Never saw any flooding like this. This was the worst flooding I'd ever seen from any hurricane I'd actually been in. I've seen a lot of devastation in Florida from the hurricanes over the years, decades. Never saw any flooding like this.
The good news is that in our travels on Saturday, seeing trees down like this, there were many, not only first response crews, but just everyday people bringing out their tools, their chainsaws, whatever they could to cut these trees down, get them out of the roadway, and just make things easier for drivers. So that progress is underway. We're going to keep you up to date with traffic and outage numbers from Duke Energy on air and online at WLOS.com. In Henderson County, Ed Diorio, News 13.
I thought a report from Gracie Matisse earlier was very interesting. We talked to a gentleman at the gas station saying he'd been through 4 hurricanes in South Florida, none as bad as what he is seeing outside right now. I'm going to talk about that setup. Why was it so bad?
Now, from Western North Carolina's news leader, this is News 13 this morning.
Floodwaters causing devastation all over the mountains. This morning, recovery efforts continue as rescue workers battle through water. You see it here, rubble and downed trees. And power is getting restored, but communication is still complicated as cell towers were decimated during the storm. Our continuing coverage of the Helene aftermath continues right now. Thanks for staying with us, guys.
Distracted looking at that video.
No, it's totally fine. I was too for a second. I mean, it's horrific to see.
Yeah.
It is. You can see that water getting so high, but good-ish news is it is going down.
Yeah.
I know it looks bad, but there is progress happening.
Yeah, the river levels are coming down, so that's good news. I mean, some of them are still running at major flood stage, even historic flood stage, but they're coming down. So we've got that to look forward to. You know, you heard the guy say at the gas station it's one of the worst situations he's ever seen, and it is, and here's why. We had all the ingredients, they were there for this disaster to happen. So we had a big blocking low pressure that developed to our west, a big upper low, the hurricane's approaching. We get this stalled frontal boundary that comes in and just sits there and dumps rain on us before Helene even made it to shore. So we had all of this rain falling here. So our soils are becoming saturated. We're setting the stage for landslides already with that rain that arrived before Helene. So we had now Helene come in just to our west. So that low is pulling Helene toward it. And that gave us what we would typically call the dirty side of the storm. It gave us the most intense winds. That right quadrant out here is where you see the worst wind from a storm. So we definitely got the highest winds out of that storm as it came by, and that certainly knocked down all the trees. I mean, comparable to maybe Hugo out there with the tree damage that we are seeing. And that system still sits out to our west. It will give us a chance for a few showers today. No widespread rain, but some additional rainfall totals are possible. I'm going to walk you through that part of the forecast coming up here and show you those river levels, Madison, coming up in just a few minutes.
Much of western North Carolina continues to be isolated this morning due to power and cell phone outages. At this point, we are still not hearing a timetable for the restoration of cellular services. An update from Congressman Chuck Edwards on Helene recovery efforts. The congressman sent a news release this morning to update cell service and more. In the release, he says Madison County is impacted the worst, with less than 8% capacity through Verizon. He says service providers have deployed transportable cell towers throughout western North Carolina. They have also deployed vehicles with mobile cell sites using satellites. Now to the latest on power outages in our region. Some good news, more power is being restored. Here are some of the current numbers. Buncombe County currently has almost 95,000 people out of power. In Henderson County, there are 69,000. 38,000 customers are without power in Rutherford County. There are 19,000 people in McDowell County out. In Transylvania County, 13,000. All morning long, we're working for you to get the latest information from officials. This morning, we spoke with Buncombe County's Communication and Public Engagement Director, Lillian Govis. One thing she told us is that they are working to set up a distribution center for food and water, and they'll have more details on that later this morning. Take a listen to other important information she has to share about how to help find family members and more.
Good morning. Good morning.
So first, we just want to get down to the nitty-gritty of it all. How is it looking out there? Are we seeing progress after this devastation?
We are absolutely seeing progress. We are getting a little bit more connectivity. We're seeing more houses come online with power, a little bit more cell phone service, which is going to help with just the heartbreak of so many families who haven't been able to communicate with each other. To say that we've received, that I personally have received thousands of messages from people looking for their loved ones would be an understatement. So we set up a place at www.buncombeready.org where people can put those names of those individuals into our database, and we've got a team that is reviewing those and comparing them against who we have in shelters and 911 records to try to help and get information to people to let them know their loved ones are indeed safe.
Yeah, we've been reporting on that all morning. I know a lot of people have been wondering how they can try to find people up here without coming up to search for them. So it's great that you guys are getting that set up. I want to ask about the rescue efforts. How are those going? Is it still hard for people to get out there and these teams and crews to rescue people?
This is the most difficult rescue operation that anyone, any rescue crew has ever experienced in their careers, in their lifetimes. We have landslides. We are continuing to have landslides. From Barnardsville down to Fairview, that is our main corridor where we're really focusing. We've had some really triumphant stories of there was a woman who had gone into labor, and we were able to airlift her out and get her to the hospital and got confirmation that she and the baby are both doing well now. And so those are the things that are keeping our crews going. As we shared yesterday, this is also becoming a recovery situation, and we have had fatalities, and we'll continue to provide updates on those as we can. We have a media briefing at 10 a.m. that will stream live on facebook.com/BuncombeGov. So anyone can watch that. We're going to have folks from Weaverville, Black Mountain, Swannanoa on that call, giving updates in those areas to help people have a deeper look into what our rescue operations look like. I can say I live in that Black Mountain, Swannanoa area. I haven't been home. I haven't left our emergency operations center. And I know that when I do, what I see will not be what it was when I left. But at my house, the bridge to get there and the road to get there are both gone.
It's just absolutely devastating to see what people are going through. And again, if people want that live stream, we are also going to stream that on our website as well, so you can get it in a lot of different places. I know people are just wanting information at this point and just frustrated with the fact that they cannot get it. Is it making it hard with this service outage? How are people kind of getting around that when people sometimes can't even contact 911 to let them know that they are in danger? What do people do in that situation?
So texting 911 is a great option. We are getting little blips of service. I got a little blip of service that let me know yesterday the husband is safe, and the relief that I felt in that moment is the relief that I would want for every single person in our community. This has been a disaster of unquantifiable proportions, and this is the Hurricane Katrina of our community. We can't understate just how destructive this has been and is continuing to be. Please stay home. We have a lot of resources coming in today from the state. Finally, we've got law enforcement who are helping escort those resources up Old Fort Mountain, where we had the landslide that has closed I-40, that continues to be closed. But those resources are coming up with law enforcement support, navigating that landslide to get to us, so that today we can be sure to get as much out into the community. We need folks to be good neighbors. I know lots of people are gathering at places that have a little bit of food and can share,
Right.
and water. But we're going to be getting more out today, and we'll be sharing updates on that.
Well, it's Sunday, and many of you would normally be headed to church services this morning. Most of those are canceled today. Take a look at the bottom of your screen. We have the latest closings scrolling there. You can also go to WLOS.com and click on closings and delays under the weather tab for the latest list. We'll be monitoring these throughout the day and bring you updates on the schools that will be closed Monday as well. And we have an update this morning on school closings due to Helene, Buncombe County, and now Asheville City Schools have both announced they will be closed Monday and Tuesday. For Buncombe County staff, both days will be annual leave days. Both school systems say they will continue to update closures as they assess the situation.
Looking around at, at some of our tower cameras, and it does appear to be pretty foggy out there in spots. We do have some drizzle, some light rain falling. So that is a part of the forecast today. It is still moisture wrapping around the remnant low that is Helene. So I'm going to show you that part of the forecast. We're going to look at those river levels too. They're falling. That's good news. When will they be below flood stage? Coming up.
Just ahead, more Skyview 13 drone footage.
And now, your News 13 Skywatch weather.
For those of you who haven't seen, take a look at this video from our photojournalist Steve Wilder. He shot this yesterday of the devastation in Asheville with our Skyview drone.
You can definitely see at the time of that shot, most of the area there still waterlogged, and that, of course, the Swannanoa River just exploding out of its banks, cresting at almost 6 feet above the old record
high. That's insane to see, but we have been hearing all morning that those river levels are going down.
Yeah,
does that mean that water will? Is that kind of what we're hoping, that it will drag back down into the Swannanoa River?
Yeah. So that river is definitely improving there, and so are a lot of the others around the region. So just takes a while for all that water to flow downstream, for the levels to drop. The French Broad in Marshall still at moderate flood stage there, coming below flood stage this evening. You can see Hot Springs there in minor, and the Linville River around Nebo is in minor flood stage this morning. Problems still exist there at Fletcher. The French Broad crested almost 10 feet above the record level there, and now that that's falling, it's still lingering, the level, at the old record level at about 20 to 21 feet. So we still have major or near record flooding occurring in Fletcher. That comes down Monday night below flood stage. Blantyre also experiencing major flooding. And there's the Swannanoa you asked about, Madison and Biltmore Village. It's coming down below flood stage probably sometime this morning.
Any kind of good news that we can get, we will take, Megan. Thank you. Well, damage from Helene here in Asheville is still being assessed this weekend. And just into the newsroom moments ago, we've learned that President Joe Biden has granted Governor Roy Cooper's request for federal major disaster declaration. That means FEMA will be able to fast track help to the state. News 13's Taylor Thompson spent the day surveying the current damage and reports on the latest of what she is seeing.
You guys, we're out here on Hendersonville Road where crews have actually shut down a portion of the road due to what you can see behind me here of these down power lines, and right over here with these down trees. There is so much debris here, and unfortunately this is the state of many roads here in our area. Driving through the city, you can see down trees and power lines everywhere you turn, causing a lot of traffic buildup. But on the other side of the city, in the River Arts District, there is complete devastation, with so much of the area just covered in water. We spoke with one resident, Roy Harris, who's lived right up the hill off of Depot Street for the last 35 years.
I've never seen it this bad. And in fact, I walk in this area all the time, and there's a bridge right there, which is covered up.
Harris says that 30 years ago, there wasn't much in the River Arts District, but that's far from the case now, which makes this flooding just devastating for their area. Adding that he feels for the community and the rebuilding that's ahead. And crews will be out for the next several days working to restore utilities all throughout our county. And as a reminder, if you do see any downed power lines or downed trees like the ones here on Hendersonville Road, do not attempt to drive through them. In Asheville, I'm Taylor Thompson, News 13.
Lining up for a chance to fill up. A little later, we'll talk with people hoping to as crews work around the clock to get the lights back on for everyone. One Hendersonville restaurant is making the most of the power they now have. News 13's Nija Petty-Holm spoke to one of the owners on his mission to help people during this historic tragedy.
As Storm Helene passes, many people were left without food and resources.
I wasn't able to get to this side of town where the hotel was, so I actually had to stay in my car last night. And I had gone over 30 hours with essentially no sleep and no food at all.
But Indian Aroma Bistro on Main Street in downtown Hendersonville is stepping up to support their neighbors in need.
We just want to support our city, or want to help people out because there's no food.
Vic Singh, who is part owner of Indian Aroma Bistro, was one of the first to return to the restaurant after the hurricane. Concerned about his community and a strong desire to help, he returned back to check on the power supply. And once he realized the power was up and running,
and then I called my staff, and they were down to work.
Vic and his team is committed to providing warm meals to anyone who comes through their doors, regardless of their financial background.
That's the way we grow up. That's what we do.
The restaurant offers a buffet for $10, but Vic says if you can't afford it, that's okay. Indian Aroma Bistro plans to remain open every day until Monday from 11:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. Or, as Vic says, until things are up and running again in his community.
I was completely so hungry. I was not myself. Blessed that and thankful for India.
In Hendersonville, I'm Nija Petty-Holm, News 13.